Good afternoon, everybody, and thanks, Furlough. It's Friday once again. This is actually episode 136 of ICB TV, so 136 episodes. And yeah, I'm so proud that we've done it. Can't really believe it's 136 of them, but we have been doing it for over a year, so I suppose it's not at all surprising. So this one, Friday the 16th of April, I gather it's one of those days that I think when I was working in newspapers, they used to call a bit of a slim news day, which is when we go grasping around for a few straws. But Jackie, you've got one or two straws that you've grasped for us, I think.
Yeah, good afternoon, everybody. Lovely to be with you again. Yes, actually, very little has come out this week. I think being Easter, I get the impression that HMRC staff are all off on holiday with their kids on Easter holiday, so not much has come out this week. But I did pick up one interesting little tidbit from somewhere yesterday. We were talking about the other week about the deferred VAT penalty, the deferred VAT payments from last year, and that there is now the system whereby you can sign up to pay up to 8 or 10 monthly direct debits. And people were saying, what happens if you don't sign up? Well, yesterday, HMRC announced that if you haven't signed up for your direct debits to pay your deferred VAT by the 21st of June, when that system closes down, if you still have outstanding VAT, which was due to be paid by the 31st of March, the penalty has now been announced as being 5% of the outstanding VAT. So either they've got to have signed up by the 21st of June, or they've got to pay the VAT that's owed, or there will be a 5% penalty stroke interest added to it. And I have to say, that's the only note I've got in my book this week. So yeah, short and sweet and not too much. And Judith says they'll all have taken the week off for the pub. Yes, yes. So
yeah, they're probably, if your newspapers are anything to believe, they're probably doing job interviews or something. Anyway.
Yeah.
Taking that political one slightly off for the moment. Yeah, a couple of things that I need to say. First of all, I've still got the long hair. My hairdresser opened his books the other day and can't get in. So it's going to be the end of May. So actually, I'm looking for somebody in Romsey. I'm going to risk it in Romsey, as they say. Another alliteration for me.
I'm slightly better than you. I think I've got a week tomorrow, so I've got to wait another week. So by the time I get through, that was the first appointment I could get here. So yeah, next Saturday, mine's all coming off.
The only day that I could get was the day I have to go for my second jab. So I waited up and decided, even, you know, I can be forgiven for having long hair, but not for missing my second jab. So that was weird. But anyway, so we're doing that. And I mentioned, I think last week, and those of you who've been listening into other things that I've been saying and talking about on various programs, we are having Mend It May next month. For those of you who don't know what Mend It May is, this is the month when we're asking you all to finally get all of your information that we hold on you finished, cleared, absolutely dead balls accurate, as they say in My Cousin Vinny. And if you haven't watched My Cousin Vinny, the film, you should do. It's quite funny. But yeah, so we are finding that we have got some very, very outdated information on some of our practices and some of our members. We've got people with different names because they've got married or divorced and various other things like this. We've got people who started limited companies and have forgotten to tell us. We've got people who have employed staff and forgotten to tell us, or got rid of staff and haven't told us. Now, we have to know about this because we are responsible for you. Even if you're not in practice, we need to know who you are and where you are, etc. We have to make sure that we have correct information. And funnily enough, it comes up under GDPR that we're not supposed to hold incorrect information. So if you don't give us an update, we're holding old information, which technically should go, and the new information should be there. So I don't want to confuse it too much with GDPR because I find that a weird subject. But anyway, so if any of you are sitting there thinking, oh, I might have forgotten to tell the ICB that, will you start contacting us now? Because what we're doing during May is we're going to start purging the database and going through and checking a few things. It'd be a lot easier if you came to us first and told us so that we can knock you off the list and carry on with the others, because, you know, we've got thousands and thousands of people to check through. So we've got two new people starting at the beginning of May to act as intelligence and investigations officers for us. That's Nikki and Andy, and I'll introduce you to them in due course. We've just this week taken on board Lucy Brown. A lot of you will know Lucy. She did a talk during the conference about her route to being an ICB bookkeeper. And those of you from the Lincolnshire area will know because she was the branch chair. She's also a member, or was a member, sorry, of our advisory council. Now, she is now our Director of Professional Conduct. And she is going to be working with the AML side, but specifically looking at a much broader role. So not just the AML, but everything else that we do. So she is going to be working across departments to try and make sure that everything that you need to be professional is being given to you in a way that you can find it, you can understand it, you can use it properly. And so, you know, she's not going to come in with a stick. She's coming in there, well, it might be a stick for ICB, but she's coming in very much as a former practicing bookkeeper. She knows exactly what she thinks we need to do. She's going to be taking information in from all sorts of sources, including you as the members, still in the branches, etc. Just to make sure that we maintain our spot as the best informed body. And I think that is great. So she's going to add a lot to that. So Lucy will be coming onto one of these programs shortly. I thought it was a bit early yet because she hasn't had a chance to get her feet under the table properly, albeit she's working from home, so it's her own table, but that's another whole story. We are still debating as an ICB group what to do about the future of offices and various other things. We do have a number of our team that are working from home, and now their home is a little bit too far away to do a daily commute. And I think one thing that we have realized during lockdown is that it is better to get good talent that live at a distance than just to get people who live close, because that's all that's available. So I think we've got a mixture. We do have some great people who do live close to the office and they still want to go to the office. I've got a couple of people who are begging for us to go back to the office because they've had enough of either being by themselves or in some cases being with their family for too long. So yeah, we're going to have a bit of a hybrid system. I think I've referred to it in an article I've just written. Now, the main thing is that you as members should not notice any difference. I mean, I don't think anybody has said recently, you know, oh, it's difficult or I can't get hold, you know, anything like that. It just feels exactly as if we were in an office before. And to be honest with you, we've had the office for 5 years, but we've been in offices for the last 25 years. And the number of members that have visited us, probably a couple of dozen at most, because really you want to get on with your lives. You don't want to come, there's no need to come and see us. The only people who really come into our offices are occasional council members or branch chairs, something like that, when they come in for meetings or some of our working groups. So we're looking at all angles, all opportunities. And the other thing is, of course, being based in London is okay. It seems to be the centre of most things. But actually, our membership is spread pretty well right the way around the country. So we are looking at getting out to the regions more regularly and different ways of doing that. And I think this is a good opportunity for us to assess everything we do. And coincidentally, we're halfway through our lease in September. This is the lease on London Bridge, our offices at London Bridge. And we have the opportunity to opt out. So they've come back with a pretty good incentive at the moment. So Julius DeFore, who's our accountant, has looked at this and thought, oh, this is saving money. He's rubbed his hands together. But actually, even if we're saving money, it might not be the best thing to do to go back to the office. So we will look at that. Now, I always believe that imitation is the sincerest form of flattery. And you will remember some years ago that Sage came up with a Sage Summit. Jackie, I believe you spoke at it, and I've certainly visited it following our summit. So we thought, well, that's cheeky, but never mind, we're flattered. I noticed yesterday, actually, that they've just come up with something called Inspire Me Tour. So sound very similar to the Inspire Tour, possibly, but anyway, they're doing that. And they've got a few celebrities on that as well. So it's nice to see that good ideas travel. obviously they're great names and words, so it's not really that they're copying them all. But
I think actually, Garry, I've got a feeling, Garry, that Avalara may have done an Inspire Day earlier in the year that I signed up and watched. So yeah, as you say.
But I think it's good that everybody's trying to inspire our profession, because we've done a hell of a job over the last 12, 18 months. We're not out of the wood yet, but at least, you know, we're starting to get there, and hopefully we've had the final lockdown. Who knows, but fingers crossed, please, it's the final lockdown. And so our members are going to need to get back into the proper flow of things, running their businesses or working for their clients or for their employers. And also the businesses that we work with are going to find it probably a completely strange world out there. I mean, this morning I was just driving into the local village here, Romsey, and I came up on one of those strange things that we haven't had for a while, a traffic jam. I mean, Romsey isn't that big, but, you know, obviously everybody was out there. So I think we're getting back to normal very quickly. I hope it's not jumping the gun a little bit. I hope it's not too soon. And I hope that because everybody's got the jab, it will help, and we'll miss any major lockdown again. But who knows? Various countries around the world are still struggling and bouncing in and out and everything else. So, and the reason I mentioned the Inspire Me is that we are working on an Inspire tour. We were waiting to see about how quickly everything would be unlocked, and whether or not we could move it forward a little bit and squeeze in a face-to-face. I think probably it's still going to end up as some sort of virtual tour. We might do, I don't know, a couple of centres perhaps, and just dip a toe in the water and see. I'm really not sure what everyone's appetite is for meeting up again. We have discussed it. I mean, Jackie, you and I have discussed this as well several times. I mean, the branches are going really, really well. Numbers are up, but it's the ease of accessibility, I think, which is the big thing. Funnily enough, we've this morning just been talking about our Pearson VUE exam centres. Now, Pearson VUE couldn't do exams because their centres were locked down. So we were the first accountancy professional body to set up proctored exams, where you sit there on your computer, your phone open, and we watch you doing your exam. Now, that sounded horrendous to me, but actually everybody has really, really taken to this. And it's, you know, the number of exams at that level has really climbed quite dramatically. And people are saying it's so much easier. And I was talking to a lady the other day who is disabled, and she said, well, I could always get to a Pearson VUE centre, but the fact that I don't have to, that I can settle down, I can have half an hour beforehand just calm and listening to music or something or other, you know, and then I can go straight into my exam, makes it so much easier. So I think we're looking at the possibility of actually just sticking with the proctored exams. I mean, it's a very, very strong test. We can tell you're not cheating. We can see what you're doing. There's all that, those sort of considerations have to be taken in when you're examining people. But I think we'll be okay. I'd like to think we are trendsetters in this. You know, we led the way with the proctored exam. We were the first people to offer it, and I think a lot of others have followed suit. So I'll be interested to know from any of you who've done the proctored exam what you thought. It might well be worth having a quick program on that at some stage when we talk to students. And so that's good. I'm still getting asked about our summit conference. And again, I think we will be doing some sort of hybrid. We have Global Bookkeeping Week from the 8th to the, 8th, 9th, 10th, to the 12th of November. We'll be doing something during then. Razor Cup Day will be Wednesday the 10th. So put that in your diary, please. Again, we want hundreds and thousands of you out there with your cups, raising it and really toasting bookkeepers. So that's very important to us. And of course, it's our 25th anniversary on the 1st of November. So we want to do something. It might be that we have to have perhaps a dinner, do the Luca Awards, but not do a full open conference. And again, we've got so many stories about you can have half the capacity, or you can only, I mean, I really can't imagine enjoying a Luca ceremony if we've got 4 people to an 8-person table. It wouldn't feel the same. I mean, we are normally absolutely squashed in cheek to jowl, and everybody has such a whale of a time, you know, and those roars of appreciation when somebody gets an award or is nominated. And it's such a great feeling. If we're down to half capacity, I can't see it working. So watch this space, and trust me, I'm watching it as well because I've got no idea either. But anyway, Jackie, have we got any questions or anything?
Yes, we've got quite a few coming. I'm just trying to group them together, sort of going reverse backwards with the online stuff. Alistair said, if we were to go back to centre exams, say on the 17th of May, my M8 would have been delayed by 5 months from when I took it under the proctoring system. So yeah, at least a lot more people have been able to do their M8s, their final exam, because it's proctored.
Why would there have been a delay?
Simply because the Pearson View exam centres weren't open. They don't open until the 17th of May. And he took his 5 months ago. So it would have been a huge delay. And that's what we recognised right at the start. I think we decided, didn't we, right back over a year ago now, that we did not want to delay any of your exams, and very rapidly put the proctoring system together. The team did. And yeah, I think it's been very successful. And I have to say to you, every one of those films is watched and checked. So it is a very thorough checking system that has been put in place there. They're all checked and looked at and watched. And
yeah, and you know, we know that it's the person that's booked to do the exam who's doing the exam, you know, and all this sort of stuff. Yeah, it's very strictly monitored. And as I say, from what everybody said, they don't find that it's intrusive at all. They sort of forget that it's happening, and away they go, you know. So that's great. But thank you. That was Alistair you said. Thank you for that.
Yes. And Terry, hi Terry. Terry's on this afternoon and says, bit concerned about going back to face-to-face branch meetings as the attendance might go down. They were talking about it at the Lincolnshire branch, and maybe go with alternative meeting formats.
Yeah, big meeting there, Terry, last time, which is really good. I think the thing is, at the moment, what we're finding is the attendances have, the actual number of attendances has rocketed, but we are finding that a lot of people are going to several branches. And that's an advantage as well, because you can go anywhere. You just go to whatever suits you. Now, obviously, there is something to be said for, well, we ought to make it local so that we can talk locally about local happenings and all the rest of it. But actually, I think the ability to pick and mix outweighs that, because bookkeeping isn't quite as parochial as perhaps it was 25 years ago when we started. Most of you seem to have quite an array of clients and spreading the net a little wider. And that's not because there isn't the business locally. It's just that I think you like a bit of diversity. So bookkeepers nowadays seem to be picking their clients rather than the other way around. And I was speaking to one of our practice members the other day who said he's actually turned down 2 clients recently because he didn't quite like, not the look of the company, but it didn't interest him. And I thought, well, okay, fine. And he said, so he had been a bit worried for a fortnight or so because he turned 2 down, and then all of a sudden something else came through. And he said, it's the most exciting business I've ever worked for. It's in shipbuilding and something rather, you know. He said, so I've got an interest there. And I find that if I can pick and choose what I'm doing, I work harder at it, I'm better at it, and it stops me getting sidelined into always doing a particular type of business. So another reason for being an ICB bookkeeper. How about that?
Okay, there's also quite a lot of questions there, Gary, about Make Up May and how you actually get online. And some are saying there's a problem with seems to be getting online, and how can you see what ICB holds on you on your record? Is it worth doing a session?
My ICB, it should give you some of the information. I think the main thing is that, I think the best thing to do is call, and we'll talk to you and we'll go through it. I mean, the thing is, surely you should know what you told us about the business, and therefore if it has changed, I don't know. Yeah, I'm not sure. This is new for us. We've not done this before. We've not had to do it before. I've always thought our members were brilliant. they are, you are still good, but some of you have taken your foot off the pedal on the AML. So that's the only reason we're doing this. We're trying to purge the whole system, get everybody in line, because another 3 or 4 months or so, and we get our audit again from OPVAS. And yeah, I think, we need to make sure that we've got this right, because they're getting deeper and deeper every time they come to us. So if they want to start going through our database, and they can see people in there that haven't looked at their records for the last 5 years, when you're supposed to look at them at least annually, it's going to be so obvious that it's not right that we're going to get into trouble somewhere. So everything that we want you to do is in your best interest. This is not just for ticking a box somewhere. It's to make sure you do know about clients that you deal with. And we had an example recently where somebody had done a due diligence on the managing director, but the managing director was just a managing director in name. He managed it and looked after it, but actually the business was owned by 2 foreign nationals. Now, I think as this particular one turned out, it is okay, but our member had got no idea at all. Now, they could have found out by going to Companies House and checking on the business and various other things, or even just asking the question. Apparently, the managing director mentioned it in passing one day. Oh, one of my big shareholders is coming over. And I'm so, well, I thought you owned it. I said, no, I don't know anything of it. I'm just the managing director. And yeah, that's it. And it's one of those areas which is a red flag area for the profession at the moment, that they are worried that people see the UK as a good place to hide some money or wash some money or whatever they want to do with it. And it's very easy to get involved with the company. You just say, right, here we are. I'll put some turnover through your company. Just send a bit of it back to me occasionally, and that's it. And it legitimizes everything. So it's a question of being careful.
And Alistair's going back to the types of meetings. They said perhaps the specialist groups to start up alongside geographical ones, e.g. payroll or SAT. Well, with payroll, we do have the monthly Wages Wednesday or whatever that's going to morph into with Ian. So certainly payroll we're covering now, and I'm sure at some stage we'll be running some sessions on SAT and things like that.
Yeah. And
Garry,
also some taxation are coming up as well. But yeah. Unfortunately, Tuesdays have gone, so we can't have Taxing Tuesday because we've got Technical Tuesday with somebody hogging.
Well, we can alternate them. Happy to alternate them. There is, Garry, in the chat line, there is an email, message from Mayhul. I don't know whether you want to look at it before I read it out, because I'm not sure how you would want to answer that. So let me pick up on some of the technical questions that are coming in. Claire Kendall has come in and said, on the agent update that came out, we have put a link to it, I think, in the newsletter that's going out. There is a comment there about class 2, a voluntary class 2 NIC payments, and there is a link to that there, which I've just had a look at. Now, apparently, if you have a client who pays voluntary class 2 NICs, i.e. they're below the profits threshold and they're paying their NICs voluntarily to make sure that all their contributions are there. If you did your SAT return after the 31st of January, it's not recognising that those have been paid. And it's sort of crediting it. It's either refunding or crediting it. So if you've got anybody in that situation, you might like to look. There is a sort of, what is HMRC doing about it? And they're apparently either giving refunds or arranging for the money to be paid. But it is coming up with a warning message saying you haven't yet paid this. So Claire, I'll come back to you on that one independently, I think. Right.
Yes, that's weird, Jackie, you just said about Mehul, I'm sorry, I'm not sure how to pronounce that. Yeah, I see you've got a vacancy at your employers and you're interested in getting some members there. I really don't want to give your email out in this way. The best thing to do is, if you go onto the website, go onto my or anywhere, go onto my ICB or just do it on the plain website, find a bookkeeper, then you can put the details on there, and that makes sure that it's properly regulated. And then when you fill the vacancy, you're not going to get loads and loads of people following up with the call and getting to be a bit of a nuisance. So you need to put some basic details on there, explain what the job's about, how much you're going to pay, or that sort of thing, and just explain what's required. But great. So somebody else there looking for a bookkeeper to do some work. It's yeah, it's happening very rapidly at the moment with ICB bookkeepers. I have to say, there are a lot of people now starting to creak at the seat.
Apparently it's gone up to all panels and attendees, so people have got his email address, so it's gone up there, other people can see it. So yeah, but normally the route for jobs is through the find a vacancy.
Well, we should take that down then, whoever did that, but anyway, okay.
I think Mayhall's managed to put it up to everyone, but I'm not quite sure on that one. Anyway, couple of technical queries come in here. Nicola, hi Nicola, said, we have had clients bring their paperwork to file self-assessment already. Where do we stand if we feel they have claimed the SAYS grant when they shouldn't have? Whose responsibility is it? Well, not sure about that one. Ultimately, it's their responsibility because they are the taxpayer, and it's a question of whether you, if they've put it in, they're going to have to claim it in there because they'll have to pay tax on it. HMRC are currently going through the 1920 tax returns and sorting out anyone that they feel is claimed incorrectly, and I think they will be in contact. But I think at the moment, if you have proof that the SAYS grant's been paid, don't forget they didn't claim it on their own basis. They claimed it because HMRC said they were entitled to it. If they weren't entitled to it, then they weren't allowed to claim it. However, there are times when they could claim, say, numbers 3 and possibly 4. Well, number 3 it would have been, where you had to make a declaration that your income had gone down in that particular quarter. And that's the only time at which that would have been claimed incorrectly, as I understand it. And I'm just thinking, if it's been paid, it's got to be declared because they've got to pay tax on it. And HMRC, I think, will pick up and check it when it goes through at some stage. So I wouldn't worry too much about that. I think if it's been claimed, you've got to put it in the self-assessment return, obviously. Maggie says an employee furloughed January, worked February and March, but is now furloughed again for April. Variable pay, salary plus commission. Please confirm the basis for calculating the month's furlough. Is it based on April 19 or the average of 1920? Now, April furlough is slightly different because furlough was due to end on the 31st of March. So we're now into the new extended furlough scheme. And there is a new relevant date, I think of the 2nd of March. Now, what I haven't done is gone back and look at what the rates are that you can claim. However, I have not seen anything that says you can now do it on the latest up-to-date figures. So I think, and I wouldn't swear to this at the moment without checking it again, to go back to the original criteria for what you could claim. And that was dependent on when was the first time they became available to furlough, because of when the first RTI was done. So the dates were last March, it then moved on to October, it's now moved on to the 2nd of March this year. So you've got to have a look at the relevancy. But again, Maggie, if you've got a query, contact me directly and we'll try and work that out. Have we got any other questions in there? Let me just see if there's anything else. I'm just looking to see if there are any other things. I don't think
actually Michal has just come back and said he's sorry, he didn't realise. So yeah, he's having it taken down. He's going to go through the normal route. Yeah, I think that's easy. The other thing is then that it goes to people who are qualified, whereas actually some people who watch ICB TV are not members of ICB. We do get about 20% who are members of other organisations, or in some cases members of nothing. You know, it's that mixture between promoting ICB and locking the doors. You know, it's a difficult one. So we do have a few people on there.
I was going to say, Michal, I think if you do get lots of inquiries on that already, then I think you just got to be very careful. And you can always
check with ICB.
Check with ICB and look on the members register practicing licenses to see if anybody's, you know, people that are registered, because you can do the find. You can look up, I think, and find if they're registered in a particular area. I think. From
or if there's somebody that's just passed their exams or something, rather than, you know, again, we can normally assist. It depends on what sort of information we need to give you, but we can normally assist with that. Good.
I'm just checking that I haven't missed anything else. We've talked about the class 2 voluntary NICs. Suzanne, could you assist Garry with an email? There's an email from Suzanne. Checking. Oh, letters of engagement. Garry, what are we doing about letters of engagement at the moment? Is there someone? Does that come under?
I mean, there is obviously there is a template up there, and people can amend that to suit. I think the problem that we have been experiencing recently is that people alter it dramatically and then come back to us and want us to give our sort of legal opinion on it, and that's not what ICB can do really, because that is legal opinion. Now, what we give you is a perfectly acceptable legal contract, and where if you fill in the gaps, etc., then that's fine. But if you want to start adding pages and pages and pages to it, I'm afraid you have to get some legal advice. Go to a solicitor and get some advice. I'm not sure why you would need to do it, but I think it could, in many cases, it's because you're offering additional services, or you want to put in parameters or various other things that you can do. And that's beyond what we can do, because that becomes so individual. And I'm glad you mentioned that, actually, because we've had, I think, 2 or 3 this week. Everything comes in threes. And we've been struggling with it a little bit because, there's a lot built into those amended ones. Now, the other thing is, if you're going to use our template, that's great. But do remember to read it through properly first and make sure you understand what it's about and that you are committing yourself and your client to the right things. And where we've got the bits in, fill in the information here, make sure you fill it in. I've just had one, well, not just last week, I had one back from a client who's got a dispute with one of our members. And he hasn't got a leg to stand on, except that in his contract, there's a line asking for the information to be filled in, which our member forgot to take out and forgot to fill in what she should have filled in. We're still on the side of the member because the client is being an idiot, but sorry. But, it does make it a bit more difficult when you haven't done things correctly, but no.
Yes, and there's another question. It says, do we have a letter of engagement, include self-assessment and annual accounts, etc.? Well, again, just to say you can add bits in. I was talking to Amy actually not very long ago about the complexity of this, and we have been looking. I know we've been looking at other formats and possible things that you can pick and mix from it. But to be perfectly honest, once you start getting into something that's that complex, it becomes so unwieldy that we're wondering whether your clients would even look at it and sign it. I don't know, but I know Amy's has been looking at it, and I'm not quite sure how far we've got yet. But
I mean, we've had 2 versions of a contract over the years. One was the original one from Mark Watson Gandhi, whose idea really was the more you put in there, the more you've got the chance of getting something wrong. So you make it general as to the level of work that you will do, the standards, what you expect from each other, and that's about it. Then we had Ben, who was with us for a while until he left to become a house father. Is that what he called it? House father? Yeah, anyway, looking after children. And he altered it, just updated a little bit, and we had it checked recently, and we were told, yeah, it's a good contract. But lawyers are, when lawyers get hold of something, it does get very complicated and very difficult. And so I would ask you to try and keep it simple, without it not covering what you needed to cover. But as I say, just to stress, if you're going to quadruple the size of our contract and want to put in all sorts of force majeures and everything else in there, and you need a solicitor. I'm sorry, ICB doesn't have the ability to sit there and plough through 5,000 or 6,000 contracts a year and put it right. That's not what we're for. Unless you want to pay an extra couple £100 a year on your fee, let us know. It could be done, I suppose, but we would need Ben was a fully qualified lawyer, and we had him for a brief time whilst his wife was pregnant, and we knew we were going to lose him, so we got as much out of him as we could, but we didn't therefore pay normal solicitors' rates for him, I have to say. Right.
Yes, I'm just having a look at what we've got. Somebody put up a link to say that about sending in questions. I can't actually see what you're referring to, but we will have a look at that, I think, because I think we probably need to have a quick look at that page on the website and maybe do a bit of an update to it, but we'll look at that. I'll speak to Garry about it afterwards.
Apparently, whilst we've been on it, I've just got a note on my phone here. A gentleman has rung in and said, I'm listening in, I understand Mendip May is coming. I don't think I ever told you I am actually running a practice. No, you didn't. Now, the thing is, that is quite serious because you haven't been regulated for, well, looks like 4 years. And I'm not really sure how, if you've been listening to ICB TV and looking at your record, you've been to Inspire Tours and various other things, I can't see that you actually just let that one slip your mind. But anyway, we'll have to talk to you about that because you really do need to be regulated. You know, you've been driving your car without taxing it, in my view, that sort of thing. And talking of cars and all
and Suzanne has said a lot of us cannot access this on the website.
What's that? Sorry?
No, I was just saying Suzanne has put up a lot of us cannot access this on the website.
What? The template?
The letters of engagement. Now, I've just logged in. If you have a practice license and you log in, then you should be able to access that, because I've just had a look at it online and it is there. There is a link there.
Yeah.
Alistair has put a link up to running the practice letter of engagement. Could you put that up, Alex, for us, please, onto everyone, so that everybody can have a look at that link, and that takes you to where the sample letter of engagement is. Thank you.
Yeah. If you haven't
it's letter of engagement links do not work on Chrome. No, you'll have to go in via another system, another browser then.
What's this new thing? Edge or something or other? I'm getting pestered.
Microsoft Edge is the one that goes with the new Microsoft.
Yeah.
I tell you the one that I use actually, as well as Chrome, that I've always used simply because it worked really well with Apple Macs when I used to work, when I was in practice and I had access to an Apple Mac, is Firefox. I found Firefox to be extremely useful, and it does actually miss out some of the issues that Chrome have got. So that's the one that I use as my preferred browser, and it works quite well.
Well, I'm still a Google man, but anyway.
And Alistair, we will look at that, the Get in Touch article. Happy for people to call me. Yeah, okay, it's a download issue. So hopefully we put that up there now. The link that we've just put up for you is the link into the running the practice that Alistair was mentioning. So, templates are working on Chrome this morning. They weren't earlier, and they're working to get the issue with Google, working to get the issue resolved. So apparently our technical team are aware of the issues with Chrome and they're working on it. So hopefully with that link, you should be able to get into it. But if you can't get into it through Chrome, try through a different browser and it should work.
Now, I had a query about the contract saying, why is it only restricted to members with a practice license? Well, that's because you shouldn't enter into a contract until you've got a practice license. It's illegal to do that. And I've heard this before. Well, hold on a minute. I need to get some business so I can afford to set up in practice. Well, it's only £150 to set up in practice. You know, it's not exactly a lot of money, but you have to do it, I'm afraid. You know, it's the law. You must be regulated. And so, yeah, you get a whole new box of tricks once you get your practice license, and you're awarded that. So lots more templates, lots more information. You get open access to AML online, which is the online system for helping you judge your clients. Really, until you've got all of that, you're not in a position to start a business. You know, it's not just I fancy having to go out running a business. It's not that. You've got to be very serious about what you do. You have to be very professional, because you are in a serious profession. You're going to be working alongside some pretty good ICB bookkeepers and some pretty awful others. I think we're about done.
I think we've covered them. Yeah, I think we've covered all the questions that have come through. Okay.
Well, I think under that, for that reason, we will call it a day today. We're a little bit early, but I don't want to sit here waffling away and outstay our welcome, or my welcome anyway. Jackie, thank you again. I suppose it's a good thing that actually furlough is ebbing away into the background slowly. Hopefully it's helped everybody, or a lot of people survive. It's kept them afloat, but now they're there, they're ready to go, and it's all going to start working again. I mean, I noticed this morning they're saying that UK's economy is absolutely going to bounce back. Not sure who wrote that article, but it seems to be, I think it's come from The Economist or something, so I presume it's right. And, it's a big time ahead for bookkeepers. We've created a whole new reputation for what it is we do during COVID. So let's hang on to that reputation. Let's make the most of what has been created, and let's get out there and do some serious business. But on that,
yeah, I think as far as the furlough is concerned, obviously I think that's going to start tailing off as people go back to work. But what I also think is going to happen is that you might find that your calculations get more complex, because not everyone's going to go back to work full time. People are going to be coming back at different dates, and I think, to be honest, over the next couple of months you're going to have to be even more careful with getting your calculations right, so you've got that proof. And I think, in speaking to the members, those of you who've got all your calculations, as we said you should do right from the start, and they're there, have been able to use that as justification. And I think I've only heard of about 3 or 4 members whose clients have had clients' claims have been queried by HMRC, and they've been asked to prove their figures, and they've done that. And as far as I'm aware, it's gone through okay. I haven't heard of any serious issues with it myself.
And one of the things that we will be doing, either as part of an Inspire tour or just either 1 or 2 issues of ICB TV, is we're going to look at how to advise your clients when only part of their staff want to go back to work in an office and the rest of them want to stay out. What does that do to their working environment? Are they still employed as the office? Is their home their office? What about being called into meetings? Can they claim expenses in and out of meetings and all this sort of stuff? And I think we need somebody that's got a serious understanding of the HR behind all of this, and the employment law. And rather than us just have a bit of a bash at this, I think we need to get an expert in. So we've got 2 experts that we are trying to get to come and work with us at the moment. So as soon as that is available, I will let you know, because I think in many ways they're learning this so that they can tell us what to do. It's a whole new ball game out there, and I've said that so many times, but yeah, it is. And new questions coming up every day. So
one quick last minute technical query come in. With CIS, can the contractor offset payments due against his deductions owed? The only time that you can offset those CIS deductions is if you're a limited company. If you're a sole trader, you have to pay the deductions over that you take from your subcontractors. You have to pay over to HMRC, and then your own deductions as a sole trader, you have to claim against your self-assessment at the end of the year. If you're a limited company and you're sending money and receiving money, then you can offset that, but only as a limited company. Okay, so thank you for that.
Drawbridge up, I think, because otherwise 1s and 2s will be coming in. And thank you, and have a great weekend. Chancel, thank you very much. Chancel
Maya, could I ask you to perhaps pop that in an email to us, your query, and we'll deal with it outside the meeting because of your request on that one, Maya.
Great. Fantastic. Thank you very
Lovely.
much, everybody. Thank you, Jackie. We'll be back next Friday. We will be back at different days when we've got something big to talk to you about, and you'll get notification of that anyway. And Fitz, thank you for coming.
Yeah, quick reminder that 27th will be a next Technical Tuesday with Werner from HMRC. We're talking about a follow-up to MTD, the agent services account, what's happening with transferring your VAT over. So if you have any questions, and I think there is an advert going out for that asking for your questions, she would like to have some of those in front. So if you've got any questions, if you know me, email it to me. If not, email it to member services. We'll get the questions put together so that Werner can frame an answer before the meeting. So thank you very much all.
Thank you. Bye all.
Take care. Bye.